want to talk? So let's talk. Yeah. Talk. You want to talk? You gotta talk, you need to talk. News talk.
I talk, you talk to Solomon. I talk, you talk to Solomon. Yeah, let's talk to Solomon. Talk to Solomon.
You gotta talk, you wanna talk.
Welcome back to Talk to Solomon. Our guest, Major General Jerry Curry. Our co-host is from the great state of Alabama. He's a financial expert, Greg Howard, and he is a guy who, well, shall we say, has made some friends and made some enemies. But no one, neither the General nor Greg, has gone to where I'm going to go right now. I believe that if Michelle has 2 more lunches like she had at the inauguration, that she will emulate this lady, and this is the lady who has, well, shall we say, she's very happy with the way she looks. She has 4 children, she has a husband, and she calls herself Bootylicious. General, is this woman safe when you're in the room?
You got me. I don't know who Udi Lee is.
Well, she is 5'1", 420 pounds, and her hips measure 8 foot around.
Whoa.
And she, now here's the key, she thinks she is attractive. She has no interest in losing weight. She says she looks fine, she feels fine, and there's no reason to change the way she is. Now, you can't see the picture because I know you're on the phone, but just imagine, I don't know, a hippopotamus with a bikini. And yet, and by the way, she's wider than most hippos, but this is the mindset that we're seeing from the Obamas. Michelle doesn't think there's anything wrong with her living the life of Riley on our dime. Barack Obama doesn't think there's anything wrong with being a total hypocrite and not, enforcing the rules that he swore to enforce. Greg, did you have a chance to view this before you came online?
Yeah, and thank you very much for making me never want to eat another bite again. Appreciate that very much, Stan. I've already, by the way, lost 5 pounds since the new year, but I've been on a weight loss program for 9 months and doing quite well. Thank you very much. But in any event, I want to make a comment about yesterday's lunch because while most Americans are struggling to put hamburger on the table right now, the number of people on food stamps has never been higher. We have the First Lady dining on lobster and bison, rolling her eyes, shoveling food in her mouth so fast she hasn't even chewed the previous bite before she's shoveling another bite in. The only word that came to mind when I watched this was pig. Pig in terms of eating the type of food she was eating while most Americans are struggling, her behavior in rolling her eyes and shoveling it in her mouth. I went to a military college, and one of the things they taught us was table etiquette. And I don't know if the general went to an academy, but we were taught table manners very similar to how the academy eats. And the idea was that you took bites small enough, you cut off pieces of food small enough that you had to chew it within 3 bites to be able to swallow it. In other words, it was a special privilege you were given to have big bites. You were allowed big bites as a special privilege. So there was absolutely no table etiquette involved here whatsoever.
General, did you have the misfortune to watch the First Lady become the first, glutton?
I had the opportunity, but I got to tell you, I turned it off.
I think that the Obamas get away with a lot of things because the majority of Americans, it turns their stomach to hear their voice or to hear their name, and they certainly can't. It would be torture to have to watch them do anything.
I consider it to be torture because I must tell you that at every opportunity that I have, I just simply go to another channel or I just turn it off completely. I have a real, there's something inside of me that is revolted by them, and that's not going to change.
All right, now, General, in Russia, they have passed a law to make it illegal to propagandize homosexuality, to try and make people think that homosexuality is normal. It's not illegal to be a homosexual anymore. It used to be. But, you know, to do there what they have done here. I consider homosexuality to be a disaster for a human being, a disaster for a family, and a disaster for a community, and certainly a disaster for a country. Throughout human history, when homosexuality has become rampant and acceptable, the country has fallen. Germany's demise before Nazism, which, by the way, was born in homosexuality, which some people don't know, it was the golden age of homosexuality in Germany prior to the Nazis. You know, in Sparta, in Greece, in Rome, throughout history, where homosexuality has become acceptable, the society has fallen. Are you familiar with that at all?
Oh yeah, that's the way it is throughout history, going back as far as you can think of. If you can even go back to Sodom and Gomorrah as far as that's concerned. But yep, that's the way it is. Once you start down that road, then there's nothing that's decent, nothing is honorable, nothing is sacred. There are no values, there are no virtues, and the next thing you know, the entire nation is gone.
Greg, I know that you have a brother who was gay, and I've had family members, not direct family, but not as close a brother, but I've had family members who were gay, and every human being is a child of God and deserving of love. That's not what we're talking about here. But the fact is to promote, to equate homosexuality, in my opinion, is to invite disaster. Your thoughts?
Well, I don't think that we need to promote it into the level of, creating nuclear families and so forth. We've already discussed that on last time I was on the air. And I think that if we start creating a special class, this causes us problems. One of the things that bothers me about this is that we have to understand that whether or not we accept that homosexuality is a situation that some people are born into or whatever the case may be, the lifestyle is in fact sinful. So we have to understand that, and sinful lifestyles create problems in and of themselves. So we have to take it from that standpoint and go forward. Now, we all understand that if we understand God, God loves the sinner and hates the sin, and we have to try and treat our fellow human beings in that same way. I loved my brother a great deal, but I did not care for his lifestyle ever, so I've always been conflicted on that. He is gone now, but I've always been conflicted with that in my own personal, life on that. One of the things I'm noticing, Stan, is a lot of folks really want to hear more. Twitter is lighting up. A lot of folks want to hear more about this Obama private army that the general spoke briefly about before the break.
Let's go back to that's a great sequitur, because, General, many people do not know the history. They don't know that what happened in Los Angeles after Rodney King was government-directed, government-supplied, and government-inspired. And what worked so well there, from the perspective of those that wanted to tear down and blame and then get government focus, that is the lesson that the Marxists have learned and Obama has learned, that if you take whatever you want to call it a private army, call it a civilian, whatever, if you have a group that will go and confront and direct physical force, you can change what otherwise would happen, right or wrong.
Yeah, you can change it completely. when you get a private army like that, and that's exactly what this is. It's a private army, and it's one put together by the president. It's put together throughout our government. For example, there are now in half a dozen of the different government offices. Now we have little small security forces, they're called, but the security forces are nothing more than a private army. And when you see pictures of them training, they're not training for downtown Los Angeles control. They're training to go into a war and fight with somebody. The Germans did this in the brown shirts, if you remember, and the Hitler Jugend. That's where we're going. That's where he's going anyway with this. And nobody writes about it. Nobody says anything about it. Nobody complains about it. I did once, wrote an article on it, and it was like the heavens opened up from all sorts of left-wing forces. I've got all sorts of complaints about that article. But there's nothing that I know of that we really can do unless we do a couple of things. And one is we've got to be sure that our military understands that their oath of office, when you take your oath of office and being sworn into the military, it's to the Constitution of the United States. It's not to the President of the United States. And the brown shirts took an oath of office in Germany to Adolf Hitler, not to the United States, not to the German government. And we've got to see to it that our loyalty in these forces is to the Constitution and the American government, and it is not to the president.
Now, specifically, you wrote about the millions and millions and millions and millions of rounds of ammunition, to the point now that ammunition is being bought up, and yes, it's being bought by the public, but it's also being bought by, shall we say, other interest groups that simply want there to be no ammunition available out there. Is that right or wrong?
Well, I don't know whether there won't be ammunition available, but it is by the private interest groups, and specifically, for example, even the Social Security Administration last year, and I may be off on the number a little bit, but it's close, ordered 450,000 rounds of ammunition. The Social Security Administration, what in the world are they doing with an armed force in the Social Security Administration?
Well, I'm not going to in any way say they should have, but the last time they were giving out food vouchers, not food vouchers, housing vouchers, they had a riot on their hands, because we have a whole group of people in this country that believe that they should have anything they can possibly get their hands on, and that they have a right to it. And I've experienced that personally. So it may be when people come for their Social Security, if they don't get it, they get violent. So they may need some guards. But what you're talking about has nothing to do with guarding their offices or settling concerns. It has to do with a force that, under the name of Social Security, is but whatever you want to call it, another army, another division, another battalion, available for this national secondary force.
Yes, that's what it is.
Well, it also doesn't have to mean that the ammunition went to the Social Security Administration either. It simply may mean that they bought it under them and may have transported it somewhere else, or moved it onto another division of the federal government, or moved it off to this private army. But because they don't want us to know exactly what this private army is doing, they could be buying the ammunition and supplies for it under other federal agencies, and then simply moving it illegally, I might add, to this illegally constituted army that Obama is building on these bases that we know exist, but we can't get any access to.
Now, let's talk specifically about that, General. Many people don't know what numbers we're talking about. Are we talking about several thousand, several 100,000, 1 million? How many people are we talking about being trained and or put together in these units?
Right now, it's in the thousands. Where it will go, I don't know.
Thousands meaning it's 10,000?
Probably a little less than that.
Okay. Now, I saw videos, I'm sure other people have seen them, where they had almost all minority young people doing training, and not only are they doing training, but they were shouting, whatever you want to call it, affirmations. That's kind of where that, the kids did it, that whatever it was, Obama. But these 17, 18, 19-year-olds, the same age as the people in our military, were doing the same thing. They were becoming, if you will, like, if dare I say it, like the Nation of Islam in Chicago, where they have their own force. Some say that is the model that he's using. Is that true?
I don't know about that. I couldn't say to you that's the model he's using, but you're absolutely correct. This is what is going on. These people are being trained in combat type situations. And the idea that the ammunition could be bought by Social Security Administration and pushed on to someplace else is absolutely valid. That may be what they're doing. I have a gut feeling it's not, but that may be very well what they're up to. But they obviously are putting together an armed force, a military force, and we need generals and sergeant majors, people in the military who are alert to this, because the day may come when they have to take them on and disarm them.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
And by the way, Stan, I think the model is more like the Hitler Jugend.
Right.
The sloganeering and so forth is definitely more reminiscent of the Hitler Jugend.
But actually, in my opinion, the Nation of Islam people is exactly that. In the guise of a quote-unquote religion, they have people that are
Well, you don't think the Hitler
it.
Jugend was a religion?
In a way, it was a nationalist religion. It was a Hitler core. And look, there's as much a religion as Islam is, which is not a religion either, as the generals point out many times. It's just a system. So it's another system that they're giving them mind candy, so that they can justify in their minds it's okay at the order of whomever, the president, not the president of the United States, but Barack Obama, the individual, to go out and kill white folks, or to go out and kill Jewish folks, or to go out and do whatever they're being told to do.
This is the danger of a cult of personality, and this is what we're seeing develop in this country.
General, we have a few minutes left, and I've got other topics, but I really would like to stay on this one. From your perspective, what should I do? What should Greg do? What should people who are watching this show do? Obviously, we have to work our jobs and support our families and pay our taxes and obey the laws and all that type of thing. What do we do?
I think you do exactly what you said just now, but I think at the same time there's a requirement for us to be alert and for us to read about what these things are, what's going on, these groups that are being put together. There's nothing wrong with letters to the editor, for example, on the Internet. Anything you can do to bring sunshine in and shine it right in the middle of this darkness will be helpful to us.
What about arming, training, equipping, supplying your family, your circle, developing some relationships with other people, just so you have a mutual beneficial society, so to speak?
Well, I'm very cautious about that. It can get out of hand very quickly, and so I'm really not part of any group like that. For example, I understand what's going on with my military training and background. I'm able to defend myself and my family, and we can go from there. But I'm just very, very cautious about suggesting that we have armed groups and that we be up and around and doing armed kind of exercises.
Well, that's well said, because the government is well known for putting out provocateurs. Greg, you could probably comment on that.
Well, I'm with the general on this. Unless a person has some military training or is with a group that understands the Constitution and is willing to work with properly constituted authority, I fear the idea of renegade militias and that because that could become very dangerous. A group is only as good as its leader, and if a nut gets control of militia, all you've got is a armed rabble running around the country terrorizing folks. So I'm very leery about the idea of these ad hoc militias that pop up unless they are willing to submit to good authority. For example, in Alabama, we do have a state-sponsored militia that answers only to the governor of the state, and we do, in fact, trust the governor of this particular state. So I would urge folks, if those exist in your area, please consider that. But, you can prepare by putting a decent amount of extra food and ammunition in your house, and if you have no training in firearms and you have a gun, you're an idiot. Go get some training.
Amen.
I couldn't agree with that more. I am a firm believer in it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. You're not going to be able to go get ammunition, get arms, get trained, develop relationships once the Obama hits the fan, if you'll pardon the double entendre, well and meant specifically that way. General, you cannot laugh at that. It's unbecoming an officer.
I'm trying to hold back.
All right, but you do agree with me that every individual should make sure that they have arms, that they have training, as Greg has so rightly pointed out, that they have provisions, so at least you're in a position to be a help and not a victim.
Yeah, I think it's mandatory that you have that training, that you have the background, you have a little bit of experience, and that you do all as you can to be prepared in terms of food, sustenance, sustaining yourself, sustaining your friends and your family, and being prepared, if necessary, to take up armed action if you're forced into it. And you stay away from it. You go stay as far away from armed intervention as you can, but if somebody comes and breaks into your house like we've just had in several places up here, you break into my house, they're going to carry you out in a body bag. That's the way it is.
Absolutely.
I couldn't agree more. I was told once by I went through police training, and I was told by one of my instructors, if ever you are attacked in your home, there should be one story told, and you should tell it.
Yeah, that's right. There should never be a contradictory story if there's someone breaks into your house. My sheriff told me the same thing.
Well, the bottom line is, if you come, now I'm not talking about if the mailman knocks on the door, you blast him through the door by a stretch of the imagination. But I am saying, if you put a shoulder to my door and break it in, I'd best know that you're coming, because there's no question in how you're going to be going.
Yep.
And I'm not going to wait to find out if you had a good childhood, or if, perhaps you're drunk and you think this is your house, which happened where a young man broke into a house because he normally broke into his house. The only problem is it wasn't his house. And he got shot and killed, and their family wanted to sue someone. And the answer is, hello? Hello?
Yep.
Everyone has a right. Now, this Trayvon Martin thing, and we'll end with this, 30 seconds on that punk that got exactly what he deserved when he attacked a guy because he's a punk. He was a punk, and I'm frankly think the world's better off that he's dead. That's my personal opinion. But as the facts come out, they all support what everyone knew was the truth, and yet we saw our government and our media do their very best to say, if you're white, you're wrong, and if you're a minority, you're right, without any other facts being present. And I, even though I have a family that's an integrated family, that outrages me.
And it should. I think it absolutely should outrage you. I followed that Trayvon Martin thing a little bit in the papers. Well, not a little bit, quite a bit. You couldn't follow anything else at that time. And I followed it rather closely, and I said to myself as I watched it, we still don't really know what happened down there, and I sure would like to hear the real story, because I don't think we have any idea. And Trayvon Martin is not the great gentleman distinction that they try to make him out to be in the press.
Well said. And on that note, we will call it the end of this particular segment. Thank you, Major General, for your time, and we always appreciate it when you're with us, General Curry.
Well, thank you, and Greg, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to see you again, sir.
Okay, bye-bye.
Goodbye. And we will be back shortly, hopefully with Dr. You have a computer, if you're alive today, which means you have a hard drive, which means it's going to break down. Mosey, the backup people, for thousands, for Stan, for thousands of people, for tens of thousands of people, is simply common sense. You go to cpnlive.com, click on the icon for Mosey, the backup people, and sign up. It's just a few dollars a month. Let me tell you something. We had a break-in. They stole our whole computer. You know what? When they take the computer, you can't recover anything, but we had Mosey. We had the backup. We were able to restore everything simply by buying another computer. cpnlive.com, click on the icon for Mosey, the backup people, and give yourself common sense, peace of mind, great value, the best thing you've ever done. Sooner or later, it's going to be Mosey, the backup people. I like to eat. Do you like to eat? We all do. And usually we run to the grocery store, we run to the convenience store, or we have something in the fridge. But power's been out in parts of this country in the last few weeks. We don't know what's going to come down the pike economically. Smart people are putting in food. Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves is a line of foods that you can put away that will last for a very long time. You know, they say eat what you store and store what you eat. This is great tasting stuff, healthy for you, a full line. You go to our website, cpnlive.com, and click on the button for Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves and see all the different things we have. This is good tasting food. It's reasonably priced. It will last. And it's worth its weight in gold if a problem arises. I know you don't think there's going to be anything that goes wrong. Actually, you do. This is smart. This is smart insurance. This is smart preparation. This is smart thinking. You have kids, you have a spouse, you have parents, you have dependents, you have an appetite. All those things can be addressed by a frugal but smart investment in Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves. Try them out. You will be tickled to death with the taste of them. You know what? In many cases, people start to eat this and they think, heck, this tastes better and costs less than what you're going to the grocery store to buy. cpnlive.com, check it out. Do you like being healthy? I do. In fact, this product, which I've been taking for years now, is absolutely the answer. Now, you may not believe it, but I'm actually 21, plus tax, of course. This product has 146 different healthful nutrients in it, and it's liquid, so it's bioavailable. It tastes great, and it's sugar-free. 1 ounce of Sonic Life each day will help you to maintain and enhance your health. It's a kind of a gift, well, that you'll thank your mom for, your husband for, your wife for, your kids for. Whoever you give it to, they're going to say thank you, and you are going to enjoy the benefits of having all the vitamins, all the minerals, all the nutrients your body needs in one very reasonably priced product. Just go to cpnlive.com and everything's right there. You'll be able to read all the ingredients. The price is right there, a flat price delivered to your door anywhere in the United States of America. Sonic Life is a gift, a great gift. Give it to yourself. I do.